astonishing event in the life of the Lions. So I will set the scene for you. It is June 30th, 1925, Cedar Point, Ohio, and we are at the 9th convention of the original Lions Club. There are 1,000 members in attendance, with some auspicious guests in the group. Melvin Jones, founder of the club, is addressing the Lions. But before we join the proceedings, I would like to tell you a little bit about this visionary man. Melvin Jones was born on January 13, 1879, the son of an army officer. After living in many places, as an adult he settled in Chicago. And by 1933, he was the sole owner of a successful service organization, where he developed what became his personal code throughout his life. You can't get very far in life until you start doing something for somebody else. In his mid-30s, he began to bring that code to life. He talked to members of his own organization and the members of other clubs around the country, inviting them to send representatives to Chicago. That was the beginning of the International Association of Lions Clubs, now known as Lions Club International. But wait, I believe the meeting is about to begin.
Our next order of business is this unresolved business of service. The Lions Club began its noble mission only 8 years ago. And in that short time, the organization has grown enormously. But we are now at a crossroads. It is time to define who we are and what we want to be.
We know who we are. We are businessmen, leaders of our community. We are responsible for turning the wheels of commerce and making this country great.
Here, here. The Lions promote the sharing of ideas and resources. Helping each other helps our businesses to thrive and grow. The more money we can make, the more we can give to charitable causes. Our financial generosity is our service.
Well, let's hear from some of our distinguished guests. Mr. Sinclair Lewis, have you any thoughts on what you've just heard?
Indeed I do, Melvin. My dear sirs, now is not the time to be materialistic and complacent. And service is not about sitting around a polished table and gorging yourself on poached cod while tossing coins to the unfortunate whenever feelings of guilt occasionally overcome our feelings of avariciousness. Service is about getting in the trenches, getting our hands dirty, working up a white sweat. I mean, if I listen to you two gentlemen, we'll all become useless babbits.
George Bernard Shaw, where are you?
I'm here, Melvin.
What say you, sir, about this?
I always enjoy a good rant from Mr. Sinclair Lewis, especially when it contains a shameless self-promotion of his latest novel, which I quite enjoyed, I must say, Mr. Lewis.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shaw. I'm flattered. But what brings you to our side of the pond?
Well, in the spirit of self-promotion, I'm here to preserve the integrity of my new play, St. Joan, now showing at the Garrick Theater on Broadway, with Winifred Lenahan in the title role. I'm also here to rail against you Yanks for losing your way on this commitment to service issue. But apparently, Sinclair, you seem to have the railing well at hand.
Well, it's an honor to have the inimitable George Bernard Shaw at our meeting today, but let's stay focused. Our guest speaker will be arriving shortly, and the question here today is not a matter of whether or not the Lions will be a service organization. The question is, what service will we champion?
I think that we should be taking care of the handicapped children. Who cares about them? Any one of them could have been our own.
What about the homeless?
I know how to make the world a better place. Let's abolish prohibition.
I second that motion.
I believe Mr. Swain was making a joke, not a motion, Fred. Mark, what was that thing you said to me yesterday about when we were at lunch?
I said many things to you yesterday, Melvin. Almost all of them balderdash.
Yeah, well, I can't deny that. But the one I'm talking about concerns significant moments in a person's life. I'm sure you recall it. Knowing you, it's probably written down.
Indeed, I did. It was about the two most important days in your life. The day you were born and the day you find out why. The day you were born and the day you find out why.
Yes, that was it. The two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. The Lions Club was born 8 years ago. I believe today we'll find out why. Delegates and ladies, I desire to present to you one who is known worldwide for her contribution to the blind. She comes from a state that boasts many distinguished citizens. I speak of the wonderful state of Alabama. Miss Keller is with us today to share her life work. She is going to ask the Lions to be her friends. And indeed, we are already her friends and friends of the blind in the national and international movements. Friends, Miss Helen Keller and her friend, Mrs. Ann Sullivan Macy.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. First, I'd like to acknowledge a distinguished member of your ranks, Mr. Alexander Graham Bell. If you would please stand up, sir. For those of you here who may not know, it was Mr. Bell who introduced me to Miss Keller. As we have seen through his many fabulous endeavors, Mr. Bell is quite good at putting things together. Thank you, Mr. Bell, for putting me together with Miss Keller and for all the good work that you do for the deaf.
Helping the deaf is a cause most dear to my heart. My mother was almost completely deaf. At a young age, I apprenticed with my father, who, working alongside his father, did extensive research on the human voice. In 1871, I began teaching deaf children to speak using a set of symbols my father had invented, which he named visible speech. My wife, rest her soul, was one of my former pupils. She had her hearing destroyed by a childhood disease. I can say with utmost sincerity that my work with the deaf has been more pleasing to me than even the recognition of my work with the telephone. But now, Mrs. Macy, I am sure the good people here are eager to hear what you and Miss Keller have to say. I cede the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. For over 20 years, Helen Keller has kept her hands on my face for a good deal of the time, feeling the vibrations of my voice, putting her fingers in my mouth and feeling my tongue and imitating its positions and repeating them over and over until at last you can hear her say words that you can understand. People always love those who have overcome great obstacles. Can you imagine anyone who has overcome greater obstacles? Anyone with whom you would more desire to help carry through a great work? She is going to ask you now in her own words.
Dear lions and ladies, you have heard the legend that opportunity is a capricious lady, one who knocks at the door but once, and if the door isn't opened quickly, she moves on, never to return. And that is as it should be. Lovely, desirable ladies won't wait. You have to go out and grab them. I am your opportunity. I am knocking at your door. I want to be adopted. The legend doesn't say what one must do when several beautiful opportunities present themselves at the same door. I suppose you have to choose the one you love best. I hope you will adopt me. I am the youngest here, but what I have to offer are many splendid opportunities for service. The American Foundation for the Blind is only 4 years old. It grew out of the imperative needs of the blind and was called into existence by the sightless themselves. It is national and international in scope and importance. It is the most enlightened thought on our subject that has been reached so far. Its object is to make the lives of the blind worthwhile everywhere by increasing their economic value and bringing joy to their daily lives. Try to picture yourself suddenly being stricken blind today. Picture yourself groping at noonday as in the night. Your work, your independence, gone. In that dark world, wouldn't it be nice if a friend took you by the hand and said, "Come with me, and I will teach you some of the things you used to do when you could see." That is the kind of friend the American Foundation will be for the blind, if the scene in this country will give it the support